The late-night Chicago Transit Authority train car swayed gently as it moved through the city's outskirts. Emily Chen sat quietly in the corner, her worn backpack clutched close, appearing every bit the exhausted office worker heading home after a long day. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and her oversized sweater and scuffed boots painted the perfect picture of someone you'd hardly notice, exactly as she intended. The train was nearly empty at this hour, save for an elderly couple, seated near the front, and a teenager absorbed in his phone. Emily's trained eyes had already catalogued every detail of her surroundings, a habit ingrained through years of CIA field operations. But tonight, she wasn't on assignment. Or at least, that's what her superiors believed. The rhythmic clatter of the train was shattered as the doors opened at the next station, and 5 men swaggered in, led by Marcus Duke Thompson. Their leather jackets bore the distinct patches of the Northside Kings, a gang that had been terrorizing this part of Chicago for months. Emily noticed how the elderly couple tensed, and the teenager suddenly found somewhere else to look. Duke's eyes locked onto the elderly couple, a predatory grin spreading across his face. "Hey, Pops," he called out, his voice carrying a dangerous edge. "That's a nice watch you got there." Emily watched as one of Duke's men positioned himself by the door while 2 others moved to block the aisle. Standard intimidation tactics. She'd seen them 100 times before. The elderly man's hand instinctively covered his watch, a gift from his wife for their 50th anniversary, though Emily couldn't have known that detail. "Please," the elderly woman whispered, "we don't want any trouble." Duke laughed, the sound echoing off the train car's windows. "Trouble already found you, sweetheart." He reached for the man's wrist, but a soft voice interrupted him. "Why don't you leave them alone?" The gang members turned, surprised to find Emily standing in the aisle, her posture relaxed, but her eyes sharp. Duke's surprise quickly turned to amusement. Well, looks like we got ourselves a hero." He nodded to his men. "Tyler, show the lady why that's a bad idea." Tyler Ice Jackson moved toward Emily, cracking his knuckles with practiced menace. "Last chance to sit down and shut up, pretty lady." Emily sighed, almost looking bored. "I was hoping for a quiet ride home." Her voice carried a slight hint of resignation, as if this were merely an inconvenient delay. Ice reached for her arm, and that's when everything changed. In a fluid motion that seemed to defy physics, Emily's hand caught his wrist, twisted, and suddenly Ice was airborne. He crashed into 2 of his fellow gang members, sending them sprawling. Duke's eyes widened as he watched his enforcer, a man who'd won countless street fights, go down in less than a second. The 4th gang member pulled a knife, but before the blade was fully exposed, Emily had closed the distance. Her elbow connected with his solar plexus, followed by a precise strike to his throat that left him gasping on the floor. The remaining gang member by the door reached for his waistband, but Emily was already moving. She grabbed a hanging handle for leverage, her feet connecting with his chest in a perfect double kick that sent him crashing through the opening doors at the next station. Duke, now alone, pulled his own knife and slashed wildly at the air where Emily had been, but she wasn't there anymore. A sharp pain in his wrist caused the knife to clatter to the floor. Duke found himself face down, arm twisted behind his back, with Emily's knee pressing firmly between his shoulder blades. "How? Who the hell are you?" he managed to gasp. Emily leaned down close to his ear, her voice barely a whisper, "Just someone who doesn't like bullies." She applied slightly more pressure, causing Duke to wince. "When you wake up, remember this feeling. Remember that the next time you think about harassing innocent people." A precise strike to the base of his skull, and Duke joined his companions in unconsciousness. Emily straightened up, adjusted her sweater, and turned to the elderly couple. "Are you both all right?" They nodded, still stunned by what they'd witnessed. The train was pulling into the next station, and Emily could already Hear the approaching sirens. Someone had triggered the emergency call button. "You should both speak with the police when they arrive," she said softly. "These men have hurt a lot of people. Your testimony will help make sure they can't do it again." She picked up her backpack and moved toward the door. The elderly woman found her voice. "Wait, we don't even know your name. How can we ever thank you?" Emily gave them a gentle smile. "Just look out for each other. That's thanks enough." With that, she stepped off the train and disappeared into the station crowd, leaving 5 unconscious gang members and a mystery that would soon attract attention far beyond the Chicago Police Department. Little did Emily know, security cameras had captured the entire incident. By morning, the footage would reach the desk of Detective Maya Rodriguez, setting in motion a chain of events that would pull Emily back into a world she thought she'd left behind. But for now, she had a more immediate concern. The message waiting on her phone from a mysterious number. "Impressive work. We need to talk. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Navy Pier. Come alone. R.W." Detective Maya Rodriguez stared at the security footage playing on her computer screen, replaying the train incident for the 4th time that morning. The sun had barely risen over Chicago's skyline, but she'd been at her desk for hours, transfixed by what she was seeing. Her coffee sat cold and forgotten beside her. "Playing that again, Rodriguez?" Officer Kevin Murphy leaned against her desk, a fresh case file in his hands. "The brass is calling it a vigilante incident. 5 gang members hospitalized by 1 woman. Lucky for us, the Kings aren't pressing charges." Maya's eyes narrowed as she froze the frame on Emily's face. "Look at her technique, Murphy. That's not street fighting or self-defense classes. Those are military-grade combat moves. Whoever she is, she's professionally trained." Murphy shrugged, dropping the file on her desk. "Above our pay grade, if you ask me. Besides, those Kings had it coming, been terrorizing the Red Line for months." Maya opened the file, scanning the hospital reports. Dislocated shoulders, crushed windpipe, concussion. She knew exactly what she was doing. Maximum impact, minimum permanent damage. She pulled up another window on her computer. And get this, facial recognition got a hit, then the hit disappeared. Someone scrubbed her from the system. "Maya," Murphy's voice dropped lower, "let it go. Some fights aren't worth picking." But Detective Rodriguez was already reaching for her phone, dialing a number she rarely used. After 3 rings, a gruff voice answered. "Frank O'Malley's bar." "Frank, it's Maya. Need some information about the Kings. Word is they've been quiet lately, staying off your street." There was a long pause. "Maybe they learned some manners, Detective. Or maybe someone's been teaching them. 5 of them got taken down on the Red Line last night. Ring any bells?" Another pause. "Come by tonight after 10. Maya hung up, already planning her next move. But across town, Emily Chen was facing her own challenges. The morning air was crisp off Lake Michigan as Emily approached Navy Pier. She'd arrived an hour early, scouting every possible approach and exit. 3 plainclothes security officers patrolled the area, unusual for this time of day. Someone had arranged extra security. At precisely 9 a.m., a man in an expertly tailored suit approached her bench. Robert Walsh, known in certain circles as the facilitator, sat down without looking at her. The elderly couple from the train, Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, married 51 years. He still volunteers at the VA hospital where they met. Emily kept her gaze on the water. "If you're trying to impress me with your intel, you'll have to do better." Walsh smiled. "How about this? 3 months ago, you resigned from the CIA after the Belgrade operation went sideways. Official story says you had a breakdown. Reality, you discovered something that made you quit, something about Operation Midnight." Emily's fingers tightened slightly on the bench. "You're well informed for a civilian." "Who says I'm a civilian?" Walsh finally turned to look at her. The agency wants you back, Emily, but not for fieldwork. They need you for something bigger. Not interested? Emily started to stand, but Walsh's next words froze her in place. Victoria Blackwood is in Chicago. Emily slowly sat back down. Victoria Blackwood, the woman responsible for the Belgrade disaster, the one who'd gotten away. The name brought back flashes of that night. The explosion, the screams, the betrayal. She's running something big, Walsh continued. Something that connects to what you found in Belgrade. The Northside Kings. They're just foot soldiers in a much larger operation. Emily's mind raced. The gang members on the train hadn't been random thugs. They'd been testing her, probing for weaknesses. The whole thing was a setup. Walsh nodded. We needed to confirm you hadn't lost your edge. Consider it a job interview. And if I'm not interested in the job, then Blackwood continues whatever she's planning and more people die. Walsh stood, straightening his jacket. You've got 24 hours to decide. If you're in, be at Frank O'Malley's bar tomorrow night at 10. If not, he shrugged. It was nice meeting you, Miss Chen. Emily watched him walk away, her thoughts churning.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
She had questions, dozens of them, but she knew she wouldn't get answers until she committed. The mention of Operation Midnight troubled her. That file had been beyond classified, yet Walsh knew about it. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. The Kings are moving something big tonight. Warehouse 17, River North District. Thought you might want to know. M.R. Detective Rodriguez. The detective was smarter than Emily had given her credit for, tracking her down this quickly. The question was, what game was the detective playing? Emily spent the next few hours conducting her own reconnaissance. The Northside Kings had gone quiet after last night's incident. Too quiet. Their usual corners were empty, their regular haunts deserted. They were preparing for something. As dusk approached, Emily found herself on a rooftop opposite Warehouse 17, watching through high-powered binoculars. Duke and his crew were conspicuously absent, but other Kings members were loading crates into unmarked vans. Through her scope, she caught a glimpse of what looked like military-grade weapons. Quite a view, isn't it? Emily spun around, dropping into a defensive stance. Detective Rodriguez stood there, hands raised to show she was unarmed. How did you find me? Please, Maya smiled. This is the best vantage point in the area. I'd have picked it myself. She moved to the edge, looking down at the warehouse. Want to tell me what's really going on? Not particularly. Fair enough. Maya pulled out her phone, showing Emily a photo. How about telling me why Victoria Blackwood met with the King's leadership 2 days ago? Because I'm betting it has something to do with why a CIA operative is suddenly playing vigilante on my trains. Emily's expression didn't change, but her mind was racing. Either the detective was incredibly good at her job, or Walsh sent you. Actually, he didn't, but he's not the only one with resources. Maya tucked her phone away. Look, I don't care about agency politics or whatever operation you're running, but those weapons down there, they're going to end up on my streets, getting my people killed. So either work with me, or I call in the cavalry right now. Emily studied the detective for a long moment. You have no idea what you're getting into. Probably not, Maya agreed, but I'm getting into it anyway. So, partners? Before Emily could respond, gunfire erupted from the warehouse below. Through her binoculars, she saw men in tactical gear swarming the building. Not police, their movements were too precise, too professional. Blackwood's cleanup crew, Emily muttered. She's tying up loose ends. Maya drew her weapon. Those are my loose ends they're tying up down there. Emily grabbed her arm. Wait, you want to know what's really going on? Meet me at O'Malley's. Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. Until then, stay away from this. And if I don't, then you'll probably end up dead. Emily moved to the roof's edge. One more thing. Walsh isn't the only one playing games. Watch your back, detective. With that, Emily disappeared over the side of the building, leaving Detective Rodriguez alone with her questions and the sound of gunfire below. The neon sign of O'Malley's bar flickered in the Chicago drizzle, casting intermittent red light across the rain-slicked street. Emily Chen arrived at 9:30, giving herself plenty of time to case the location. She noted the unmarked van across the street, the two men pretending to fix a telephone line, and the suspicious lack of regular foot traffic. Everyone was waiting for something to happen. Inside, Frank O'Malley was wiping down the bar with practiced motions. His weathered face showed no reaction when Emily walked in, but she noticed his hand drift beneath the counter where she was certain a shotgun waited. The bar was nearly empty. Two men playing pool in the corner, a woman nursing a drink by the window, and an elderly regular dozing in a booth. "What can I get you?" Frank's voice was gruff but neutral. "Whatever's on tap," Emily replied, taking a seat that gave her clear views of both the front door and the back exit. "Quiet night." Frank poured her beer. "Sometimes quiet is good." He glanced at the clock, 9:45. "Sometimes it's just the calm before the storm." The door opened, and Detective Rodriguez entered, shaking rain from her jacket. She'd changed out of her usual work clothes into something more casual, but Emily spotted the bulge of a shoulder holster under her leather jacket. "Detective," Frank nodded. "Been a while. Too long, Frank?" Maya took the seat next to Emily, leaving one stool between them. The usual. As Frank prepared Maya's drink, Emily spoke quietly. "You're early. So are you." Maya accepted, her whiskey neat. Noticed the surveillance outside, and the two plainclothes cops in the pool corner. "Friends of yours?" Maya shook her head slightly. "Not my people, which means they're mine." Robert Walsh's voice came from behind them. He looked exactly as he had at Navy Pier, not a crease in his suit despite the rain. He took the seat between them, nodding to Frank, who produced a martini without being asked. "Nice setup," Emily commented. "The whole bar yours or just the staff?" "Frank's an old friend." Walsh sipped his drink. "We go back to Desert Storm, don't we, Frank?" The bartender grunted and moved to the other end of the bar, giving them privacy. "So," Walsh continued, "have you made your decision?" Emily turned to face him. "That depends. Why don't you start by telling me what really happened in Belgrade?" "You know what happened. Victoria Blackwood compromised the operation, sold out your team, and 6 good agents died in that explosion." "No." Emily's voice was steel. "That's the official story. I want the truth." What was Operation Midnight really about? Walsh studied her for a long moment. "Detective, would you excuse us?" "Not a chance," Maya replied. "I've got 2 dead gang members in my morgue from last night's warehouse shootout. Whatever game you're playing spilled onto my streets. I'm in this now." Emily noticed Walsh's subtle hand gesture, calling off whatever response his surveillance team had been planning. Interesting. He was willing to let the detective stay. "Operation Midnight," Walsh began, "was supposed to be a simple intercept mission. Intelligence suggested Blackwood was brokering a deal between Serbian arms dealers and a domestic terror cell. Your team was sent to stop the sale and arrest all parties." "But that's not what we found," Emily pressed. "No." Walsh took another sip. "You found something much bigger, a network of corrupt intelligence officers working with criminal organizations worldwide. Blackwood wasn't just brokering deals, she was building an infrastructure, one that could move anything, anywhere, without detection. Using legitimate intelligence resources," Emily added. That's why the Belgrade mission was compromised so quickly. She had people inside our own agency. Correct. Walsh set down his glass. After Belgrade, we thought she'd go underground. Instead, she's surfaced here in Chicago, working with local gangs, corrupt cops, anyone she can buy or blackmail. She's building something big, bigger than Belgrade. Maya leaned forward. The weapons from the warehouse? Just the tip of the iceberg. We've detected massive money movements, unusual shipping patterns, and a spike in missing persons cases along the lakefront. Whatever Blackwood's planning, it's happening soon. And you want me to stop her, Emily concluded. We want you to help us stop her. You're not in this alone anymore. Walsh pulled out a phone and placed it on the bar. This connects directly to our secure network. Through it, you'll have access to resources, intelligence, whatever you need. Supervised by you. Supervised by me, Walsh confirmed. Look, I know you don't trust the agency after Belgrade, but right now, we're the only ones with the reach to take down Blackwood's entire network. Emily was quiet for a moment, thinking. The Kings on the train. That really was a test. Yes and no. We knew they'd be there, but their attack on the elderly couple wasn't staged. We needed to see how you'd react to a genuine threat. And now we need your skills for something far more important. Walsh pressed a button on the phone, bringing up a series of documents. Blackwood is meeting with her entire network. In 72 hours, location unknown. We need to find that meeting and end this. Maya studied the documents over Emily's shoulder. These shipping manifestos, they match patterns we've been tracking, high-end electronics, specialized equipment. She's building something, Emily murmured. Not just moving weapons, the electronics, the missing persons. She's creating infrastructure. Yes? Walsh nodded. But for what? Before anyone could answer, Frank's voice cut through the quiet. We've got company. Through the front window, they saw 3 black SUVs pull up. Men in tactical gear began deploying, moving with military precision. Blackwood's people? Maya asked, drawing her weapon. No, Emily was already moving. CIA tactical team. Walsh, you led them right to us. Walsh looked genuinely surprised. This isn't my play. Someone else must have tracked us. Frank? Emily called out. Is there another way out? The bartender was already opening a concealed door behind the bar. Tunnel runs 2 blocks east. Emergency lights are on battery power. Detective, you're with me. Emily grabbed Maya's arm. Walsh! But Walsh was gone, along with the phone he'd placed on the bar. Move! Frank chambered around in his shotgun as the front door burst open. I'll hold them here! Emily and Maya dove through the hidden door, just as the burst flashbang grenades went off in the bar. The sound of gunfire followed them down into the darkness of the tunnel. Friends of yours? Maya asked as they ran. Not anymore. Emily's mind was racing. Walsh wasn't lying about the CIA being compromised. Those weren't Blackwood's people. They're official agency tactical teams, which means someone high up doesn't want us investigating Operation Midnight. Someone with the authority to deploy tactical teams. They emerged from the tunnel in an alley 2 blocks away. The sound of sirens filled the air. My car's around the corner, Maya offered. No, they'll be watching for it. Emily led them down another alley. We need to disappear for a while. I've got a safe house, but first we need to make a stop. Where? To see Nathan Parker. If we're going up against both Blackwood and corrupt CIA officials, we're going to need serious tech support. Maya checked her phone. O'Malley's not answering. He'll be fine. Frank's survived worse. Emily spotted a cab and flagged it down. Right now we need to focus on finding that meeting. 72 hours isn't much time. As they climbed into the cab, Emily caught a glimpse of a figure watching from a rooftop. Walsh. He lifted his hand in a small salute before disappearing from view. The game was on, and the stakes had just gotten much higher. The taxi dropped them off 3 blocks from their actual destination. standard counter-surveillance procedure. Emily led Maya through a series of turns and doubled back routes until they reached an unremarkable office building in Chicago's tech district. Nathan Parker, Maya read from the directory in the lobby. Quantum computing solutions. Never heard of it. That's the point. Emily bypassed the elevator, heading for the stairs. Nathan's one of the best hackers the CIA never caught. Instead, they hired him. And now? Now he's freelance. After Belgrade, he helped me discover some things the agency wanted kept quiet. They reached the 4th floor, and Emily held up a hand, listening. He's also extremely paranoid. As if on cue, a small drone buzzed around the corner, its camera focusing on them. A voice came through its speaker. Emily Chen, thought you were done with the spy game. Things changed, Nathan. We need your help. The drone circled. Maya? Detective Maya Rodriguez, Chicago PD. Impressive closure rate, spotty disciplinary record, 3 commendations for valor. Also, you've got a tactical team setting up in the building across the street. Emily and Maya both pressed against the wall, away from windows. Not with us, Maya explained. We're trying to avoid them. A panel in the wall slid open. Inside, quick! They ducked through into a state-of-the-art computer lab. Screens covered every wall, displaying everything from security camera feeds to complex code sequences. Nathan Parker wasn't what Maya expected. Young, wearing a rumpled t-shirt with a quantum physics joke, and currently demolishing a bag of cheese puffs. The team across the street is CIA, Nathan reported, typing rapidly. But they're operating on irregular protocols, no official mission designation. Black Ops, Emily concluded. Can you get us building schematics? Find us a way out? Already. Done. But first, Nathan spun in his chair. Why are you here? Emily quickly explained about Walsh, Blackwood, and Operation Midnight. Nathan's fingers flew across keyboards as she talked, pulling up files and cross-referencing data. Victoria. Blackwood, he muttered. Yeah, she's been busy. Look at this. He gestured to a screen showing financial transactions, shell companies moving millions through cryptocurrency exchanges, hardware purchases through dummy corporations, and this. He pulled up satellite imagery. Unusual activity at multiple lakefront properties. Maya studied the images. Those are all owned by Sterling Developments, Richard Sterling's company. The real estate mogul, Emily asked, and rumored mob connection. We've never been able to prove anything. Nathan nodded. Sterling's been buying up property all along the lake, but look at the power consumption. He displayed utility records. These supposedly empty buildings are drawing massive amounts of electricity. Server farms, Emily suggested. Maybe, but combined with the specialized electronics Blackwood's been importing. Nathan's eyes widened. Oh no. What? She's building a shadow network, a completely parallel communications infrastructure. With this, she could intercept and control any digital traffic in the city, banking, security systems, emergency services. The perfect system for moving illegal goods and information, Emily realized. Complete control over digital infrastructure. More than that, Nathan was pulling up more data. Look at the missing persons cases Detective Rodriguez mentioned. All tech experts, network engineers, encryption specialists. She's forcing them to help build it, Maya concluded grimly. The meeting in 72 hours, Emily said. It's not just her criminal network. She's going to demonstrate the system to potential buyers. Nathan whistled. Every major criminal organization would want access to something like this. She could make billions and completely compromise national security, Emily added. We need to find that meeting. Working on it. The power consumption patterns suggest. Nathan trailed off, staring at his screens. We've got company. CIA tactical team is moving in. Maya drew her weapon. How many? 6 on the stairs, 4 on the fire escape. They're good. Managed to spot my surveillance drones. Emily scanned the room. "Please tell me you have an escape plan." Nathan grinned, hitting a button that opened another hidden panel. "Maintenance shaft. Runs between buildings. I've got a car waiting in the underground garage 2 buildings over. What about you? I'll run interference. Watch this." He typed a complex sequence, and suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the building. Sprinklers activated, and emergency lights started strobing. That should slow them down. Also catch. He tossed Emily a small device. "Prototype quantum encryption communicator, completely secure. I'll contact you once I've relocated." The sound of boots on stairs was getting closer. Emily and Maya ducked into the maintenance shaft as Nathan initiated his computer system's destruction sequence. "Time to disappear," he called after them. "Oh, and Emily, check out Sterling Tower. The power usage there is off the charts." The panel slid shut behind them just as the tactical team breached Nathan's office. Through the wall, they heard chaos erupt as Nathan's security measures activated. The maintenance shaft was narrow and dusty. They moved as quickly as they could, following the route Nathan had marked on their phones. "Sterling Tower," Maya said as they climbed down. "It makes sense. Tallest building on the lakefront. Direct line of sight to most of the city. Perfect place to coordinate a shadow network," Emily agreed. "But it'll be heavily guarded." "I might be able to help with that. Sterling's hosting a charity gala there tomorrow night. Every rich person and politician in Chicago will be there, including Richard Sterling himself." Emily's mind was already forming a plan. "Think you can get us on the guest list? I've got some contacts in the DA's office. Diana Wells owes me a favor." They reached the garage and found the car Nathan had promised. A nondescript sedan with clean plates. As Emily drove them away, they saw smoke rising from Nathan's building. "He'll be okay," Emily assured Maya. "Nathan survived worse." "Unlike the 2 gang members from the warehouse." Maya's voice was thoughtful. "Medical examiner's preliminary report came in. They weren't just killed, they were professionally executed. Single shots, precise angles. Blackwood cleaning house. No, the ballistics. They match CIA-issued weapons." Emily's hands tightened on the steering wheel, which means the agency isn't just compromised at the top. They've got wet work teams operating on U.S. soil. "So where do we go now?" "First, we need supplies. I've got a cache at my safe house. Then we need formal wear." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Formal wear? If we're crashing Sterling's party, we need to look the part." Emily allowed herself a small smile. "How do you feel about undercover work, detective?" "Former undercover narcotics, I can handle myself." "Good, because tomorrow night we're going to walk right into the heart of Blackwood's operation." As they drove through Chicago's rain-slicked streets, Emily's mind was already gaming out scenarios. The gala would provide cover to investigate Sterling Tower, but it was also the perfect trap if Blackwood knew they were coming. The quantum communicator from Nathan beeped. A text appeared. "Found something big. We'll contact when secure. Watch your backs. Agency isn't the only one compromised." The message deleted itself immediately after reading. Emily and Maya exchanged looks. The conspiracy was growing larger by the hour, and their time was running out. Emily's safe house turned out to be a converted industrial loft in an area of Chicago that hadn't quite finished gentrifying. The security system was cutting edge, requiring 3 separate authentication methods before they could enter. Inside, the space was sparse but functional, with multiple exit routes and clear sightlines to all approaches. "Nice setup," Maya commented, watching Emily retrieve weapons and equipment from various hidden compartments. "How long have you had this place?" 8 months. Emily opened a false panel in the floor, revealing a small armory. "After Belgrade, I set up similar locations in 6 different cities. Always good to have options." Maya picked up a sophisticated listening device. "This isn't standard CIA issue. Nathan's designs. He likes to improve things." Emily laid out their equipment for the gala infiltration. We'll need to be subtle. No obvious weapons or tech. Sterling's security will be checking thoroughly. About that, Maya pulled out her phone showing an email. Diana Wells came through. We're on the guest list as representatives of a private equity firm interested in Sterling's new development projects. Good cover. It'll give us reason to ask questions about the properties Blackwood's using. Emily paused, studying a security blueprint of Sterling Tower. Something's been bothering me about Walsh's timeline. The 72-hour deadline? Why tell us at all? If the CIA knows about the meeting, why not just raid it? Maya sat on the edge of a desk. Unless they can't. If there are corrupt officials high enough up the chain, they need deniable assets. Emily's voice was bitter. That's why Walsh recruited me. If something goes wrong, the agency can disavow any knowledge. And me? You're my legitimacy. A Chicago detective investigating local gang activity. Nothing to do with international espionage. Their planning was interrupted by a knock at the door. Both women drew weapons, moving to defensive positions. Through the security camera, they saw Frank O'Malley. After careful verification, Emily let him in. The bar owner looked roughed up, but alive. CIA team did a real number on my place, he growled, accepting the whiskey Emily offered. Good thing the basement's reinforced. Been meaning to thank you. For the upgrades, by the way. Nathan's work, Emily explained to Maya. He helps maintain a network of safe locations. Speaking of help, Frank pulled out a phone. Got a message from our mutual friend. Walsh wants a meeting. Says it's about Sterling's guest list for tomorrow night. Emily checked the message. Could be useful intel. Could also be another trap. Walsh did run when the CIA team showed up, Maya pointed out. Or he called them himself and played surprised. Emily considered their options. Where's the meeting? Navy Pier again. 1 hour. Emily made her decision. Maya, start prepping our covers for tomorrow. Frank, I need you to reach out to your contacts about Sterling Tower's security rotation. I'll meet Walsh. Not alone, Maya insisted. Yes, alone. If it is a trap, we need you uncaptured and operational. Emily began gathering specific equipment. Besides, you need to be clean for tomorrow night. Can't risk being spotted with a known CIA burnout. Frank cleared his throat. Got something else you should know. Word on the street is the Kings are regrouping. New leadership, lots of fresh faces, nobody local. Blackwood's people, Emily concluded. She's replacing the gang with her own operators. How many? At least 30, maybe more. All professional, all armed. Maya cursed softly. They'll be at the gala tomorrow. Sterling's using gang members as additional security, which means they'll be watching for us. Emily checked her watch. Frank, get that security rotation intel. Maya, start working the guest list. We need to know every face. I'll go hear what Walsh has to say. Emily arrived at Navy Pier 40 minutes later after taking an elaborate route to shake any surveillance. The tourist spot was nearly empty this late, just a few dedicated fishermen and maintenance workers. Walsh was waiting in the same spot as before. You're a hard woman to track down, Emily. Unlike your tactical team, pretty sloppy sending them to O'Malley's. Not my call. Walsh looked tired. Things are complicated at Langley. Multiple factions, competing agendas. Someone higher up is working with Blackwood. Tell me something I don't know. Okay, Richard Sterling isn't just hosting the demonstration. He's Blackwood's partner, the Shadow Network. It was his idea. He's been planning it for years, waiting for the right technical expertise. Emily processed this. The real estate empire was cover. All those properties. Network nodes, the perfect distributed system, but here's what you really need to know. Sterling's guest list tomorrow night includes 6 CIA deputy directors. The compromised leadership. Exactly. They're not just coming to observe, they're coming to buy in. With their help, Sterling and Blackwood can expand the network nationally. Emily studied Walsh's face. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm not the only one inside the agency fighting this. We've been working for months to identify the corrupt officials. Tomorrow night, they'll all be in one place. You want us to expose them. I want you to survive. Walsh handed her a small case. Security passes. They'll get you access to Sterling's private floors. But Emily, Victoria Blackwood, will be there personally. Good. No, listen, she's not the same person you knew in Belgrade. After the explosion, let's just say she's enhanced herself. Experimental surgeries, cutting-edge cybernetics. She's stronger, faster. Why are you really helping us, Walsh? He was quiet for a moment. Because I was in Belgrade too. Different division, different mission. I saw what really happened. What they made Blackwood into afterward. He turned to leave. Be careful tomorrow night. And Emily, the detective, make sure she stays close. You'll need her. As Walsh walked away, Emily's quantum communicator beeped. A message from Nathan. Systems analysis complete. Sterling Tower's power usage isn't just for servers. They're testing something big. Human trials. Be careful. Emily headed back to the safe house, her mind racing. The pieces were coming together, but the picture they formed was darker than she'd imagined. Blackwood's transformation, Sterling's long-term planning, corrupt CIA officials, and human trials of something. Tomorrow night would be more than an infiltration. It would be a reckoning. Sterling Tower pierced the Chicago skyline like a silver needle, its glass surfaces reflecting the setting sun in sheets of amber and gold. Emily Chen adjusted her evening gown, midnight blue, custom-tailored to allow freedom of movement, as their car pulled into the valet line. Through her earpiece, Nathan's voice crackled softly. Security scan shows 20 armed guards on the main floor, all former military. Blackwood's people are running overwatch from the 45th floor. Sterling's private security is manning all elevators and stairwells. Maya, stunning in a red dress that concealed both a weapon and surveillance equipment, touched her own earpiece. Spotted 3 Kings members at the entrance. They're wearing suits, but their stance gives them away. Agum. Remember, Emily murmured as their car approached the entrance. We're Catherine Morris and Rachel Torres from Summit Ventures. We're here to discuss Sterling's lakefront development project and to plant Nathan's bypass devices on floors 45 and 50. Maya's smile was perfect as the valet opened her door. Let's crash this party. The lobby of Sterling Tower had been transformed into an opulent reception area. Chicago's elite mingled among ice sculptures and champagne fountains, while a string quartet played softly in the corner. Emily noted every exit, every security camera, and every armed guard disguised as event staff. Ladies, a tall man in an impeccably tailored tuxedo approached them. Richard Sterling himself, his silver hair and practiced smile projecting wealthy confidence. I don't believe we've met. Catherine Morris, Emily extended her hand. This is my colleague, Rachel. Torres, Summit Ventures is very interested in your lakefront development initiatives. Ah, yes, Summit. Sterling's handshake was firm, but his eyes were calculating. I've been following your recent acquisitions. Rather aggressive expansion for such a young firm. We believe in seizing opportunities, Maya replied smoothly. Your recent property acquisitions along the lake show similar vision. Sterling's smile didn't waver, but Emily caught the slight tension in his shoulders. Perhaps we could discuss this in more detail later. For now, please enjoy the party. I believe Victoria was hoping to speak with you. As Sterling moved away to greet other guests, Emily and Maya exchanged glances. They hadn't expected to be identified so quickly. Nathan, Emily whispered, we need options. Working on it. Something's weird, though. The building's power, Grid shows massive energy spikes every 15 minutes. Whatever they're testing up there, it's drawing more power than a small neighborhood. They made their way through the crowd, noting faces from the CIA file Walsh had provided, deputy directors from various divisions, all potentially compromised. "Emily?" Maya's voice was tight. "By the bar. Duke Thompson." Adi, the gang leader from the train incident, was indeed there, his bruises healed, but his stance still favoring his injured side. He was watching them while pretending to chat with other guests. "He's not here for revenge," Emily assessed. "He's surveillance. They're watching to see what we do. Then let's give them something to watch." Maya grabbed 2 champagne flutes from a passing waiter. "Time to mingle. We need access to those upper floors." For the next hour, they worked the rooms separately, gathering intelligence while maintaining their cover. Emily learned that Sterling had been buying properties through shell companies for over a decade. Maya discovered that several prominent tech companies had recently gone dark after Sterling acquired them. They regrouped near a massive window overlooking the city. "Security rotation changes in 10 minutes, Maya reported. "That's our window to access the elevator." "Problem." Nathan's voice was urgent in their earpieces. "You've got company. Victoria Blackwood just entered through the private elevator. And Emily." Walsh was right. She's different. Emily turned and felt her blood freeze. Victoria Blackwood moved through the crowd with inhuman grace, her designer dress doing little to hide the subtle gleam of advanced cybernetics at her neck and wrists. Her eyes, now clearly artificial, scanned the room with mechanical precision. "My God," Maya whispered, "what did they do to her?" "They made me better." Blackwood's voice came from directly behind them. Neither had seen her. "Move now, Emily, Chen, and Detective Rodriguez. How nice of you to accept our invitation." Emily turned slowly. Up close, Blackwood's modifications were even more apparent. Her movements were too smooth, too precise. The invitation seemed hard to refuse, considering how many resources you've committed to getting our attention. "Resources?" Blackwood laughed, the sound unnaturally perfect. "You mean the gang members on the train? The warehouse? Those were tests, Emily. We needed to see if you still had your edge after Belgrade. I must say, you didn't disappoint. And now we have a proposition for you, both of you." Blackwood gestured to the elevator. "Perhaps somewhere more private. Richard is eager to show you what we've really been building." Maya's hand moved subtly toward her concealed weapon. Blackwood's artificial eyes flickered. "Please don't. My enhanced reflexes are considerable. Besides, you'll want to see this, especially you, Emily. It's what you started to uncover in Belgrade." "We should hear them out," Emily said to Maya, her tone making it clear this was their best chance to access the upper floors. Excellent choice. Blackwood led them to the private elevator, her movements liquid and precise. "You know, Emily, after what they did to me in Belgrade, I swore I'd make them pay. But then I realized, why destroy the system when you can? Own it?" The elevator doors closed behind them, and they began to ascend. Emily noted that Blackwood positioned herself to control any potential conflict in the small space. "The Shadow Network isn't just about moving information or goods," Blackwood continued. "It's about evolution, the next step in human development. What they did to me? It's just the beginning." The elevator stopped at the 45th floor, and the doors opened to reveal a sight that made even Emily's trained composure slip. The entire floor had been transformed into a high-tech medical facility, and in transparent chambers along the walls, people were being transformed. "The missing tech experts," Maya breathed. "Volunteers," Blackwood corrected. "Once they understood what we're offering, humanity is soft, vulnerable. We're changing that one person at a time. And tonight, we're going to offer this gift to everyone with the vision to accept it." Emily's mind raced. The power usage, the specialized equipment, the human trials, it was all for this. They weren't just building a shadow network. They were building an enhanced army. Impressive, isn't it? Richard Sterling's voice came from behind them as he emerged from a second elevator. The future of human evolution, made possible by American intelligence resources and private enterprise working together. The real question is, will you be part of it or against it? Emily's mind calculated angles, distances, and probabilities. As she surveyed the medical facility, 6 enhanced guards, Blackwood's superhuman reflexes, Sterling blocking the second elevator, and somewhere above them, more of Blackwood's cybernetically enhanced operatives. The odds weren't good. Your silence is telling. Blackwood moved with that unnaturally fluid grace, running a metallic finger along one of the transformation chambers. You're assessing threats, planning escape routes. Old habits die hard, don't they? Inside the chamber, a former software engineer was being systematically transformed. Tubes and cables connected to his body, pumping in substances that made his muscles twist and reform. His eyes were open, aware. They're conscious during the process. Maya's voice carried barely controlled rage. You're torturing them. We're elevating them, Sterling corrected, moving to a control panel. The pain is unfortunate but necessary. Neural pathways have to be rewritten, muscle tissue reformed, skeletal structure reinforced. But the results, but he gestured to Blackwood, speak for themselves. Nathan, Emily subvocalized, hoping their comms still worked. Tell me you're getting this. Recording everything. Nathan's voice was tight in her ear. But Emily, those power surges I detected, they're not just from the transformation process. They're building something bigger on the 50th floor, something that requires massive energy. Blackwood's artificial eyes flickered. Your communication device is impressive. Quantum encryption. Let me guess. Nathan Parker's work. She smiled. Did you really think we wouldn't detect it? We've been listening the whole time. A hidden door opened, and 2 enhanced guards dragged in a struggling figure, Nathan himself, already sporting bruises. Your friend's infiltration of our systems was skillful, Sterling acknowledged, but predictable. We've had teams watching his backup location since O'Malley's. Emily kept her expression neutral, but her mind was racing faster. Nathan's capture complicated things, but it also meant Sterling had revealed his hand too early. They still didn't know about. Walsh sends his regards, by the way, Blackwood added casually. He's been an excellent double agent, though I suppose triple agent would be more accurate now. Maya shifted slightly, adjusting her stance. Emily recognized the motion. The detective was preparing to draw her concealed weapon, despite the futility. Emily needed to buy time. Why show us all this? She asked. You could have simply eliminated us. Because you've proven yourself. Capable, Sterling replied. Both of you have. Detective Rodriguez's record is impressive. And you, Emily, well, your work in Belgrade was exceptional, even if it was against us. We're offering you a choice, Blackwood continued. Join us willingly, become enhanced, help us usher in the next stage of human evolution. The alternative, she gestured to the transformation chambers, is considerably less pleasant. You're planning to enhance the CIA directors, Emily concluded, create an enhanced network within the intelligence community. Just the first phase, Sterling smiled. Think bigger. Military leaders, politicians, corporate executives. Within a year, every major power structure will be under the control of enhanced individuals. A new world order guided by superior beings. Superior beings? Maya's laugh was bitter. You're not superior. You're not even human anymore. Blackwood moved with blinding speed, suddenly inches from Maya's face. Humanity is weak, vulnerable. We're offering strength, protection, evolution. You're offering slavery, Emily countered. Those volunteers aren't willing. They're coerced, threatened. just like you're threatening us now. Emily, Emily. Blackwood's tone was almost pitying. Still clinging to outdated morality. The world is changing. Tonight, when we demonstrate our capabilities to the CIA directors, everything changes. The Shadow Network goes live. The enhancement program begins full production. A new age dawns. Nathan, Emily subvocalized, the fail-safe. Don't bother. Blackwood smiled. We've blocked all outgoing signals. Your quantum communicator is useless now. Nothing can prevent what's coming. That's when all the lights went out. In the sudden darkness, Emily moved. She'd memorized the positions of every guard, every obstacle. Her hand found Maya's arm, pulling her down as enhanced guards fired blindly. Nathan, they'd have to trust, to handle himself. Night vision, Blackwood's voice commanded, but Emily was already moving. The backup power would kick in seconds. But that was all they needed. Maya's gun barked twice, the muzzle flashes illuminating chaos. Emily's thrown knife found the control panel, shorting it out in a shower of sparks. An enhanced guard grabbed. Aim for her, but his movements were predictable. They relied too much on their artificial advantages. Emily used his momentum against him, sending him crashing into another guard. The backup lights flickered on, revealing Nathan by the main computer terminal, his fingers flying over keys. "Systems unlocked," he shouted, "but we've got bigger problems." The power readings from the 50th floor. They're building a massive transmission array. Once it activates, it'll broadcast the enhancement signal citywide, Emily finished. How long? 20 minutes, maybe less. Blackwood's laugh echoed through the facility. You can't stop it. The process is automated now. Even if you kill us all, the signal will still broadcast. The evolution of humanity is inevitable. Sterling moved to block their exit, but Maya's shot caught him in the shoulder, spinning him away from the elevator. Enhanced guards converged from all directions. Time to go! Nathan grabbed a tablet, still downloading data. They made it to the elevator, but Blackwood was there, moving faster than seemed possible. Her enhanced arm shot out, catching Emily by the throat and lifting her off the ground. I gave you a choice. Blackwood's voice was cold. Now you'll experience enhancement the hard way. Maya's gun pressed against Blackwood's temple. Let her go. Bullets can't hurt me anymore. Maybe not, Emily managed to gasp, but the EMP in my necklace might sting a bit. Blackwood's artificial eyes widened a fraction too late. Emily triggered the device, sending a localized electromagnetic pulse through Blackwood's cybernetic systems. The enhanced woman convulsed, her grip loosening just enough. They practically fell into the elevator, Nathan hammering the lobby button. As the doors closed, they saw Blackwood already recovering, her systems rebooting. That won't hold her long, Nathan warned, still working on his tablet. And I've got bad news. The signal they're planning to broadcast, it's not just an enhancement signal. It's a control signal. Everyone who's been enhanced is connected to their network. Once it activates, they'll have an army of slaves, all linked to a central consciousness. Blackwood, Emily realized, she's not just enhanced, she's going to be the controller. 15 minutes until broadcast, Nathan reported as the elevator descended. And every enhanced soldier in the building will be hunting us. Maya checked her ammunition. Please tell me you have a plan. Emily touched her earpiece, praying the quantum communicator was still functioning. Frank, if you can hear this, execute Protocol Omega. Authorization code, Belgrade 7. What's Protocol? Omega? Maya asked. Something I really hoped we wouldn't need. Emily checked her own weapons. Frank's been positioning special forces teams around the building. Old friends who owe me favors, but against enhanced soldiers. They'll be slaughtered, Nathan finished grimly. The elevator stopped at the lobby. When the doors opened, chaos awaited them. The gala had devolved into panic, guests fleeing as enhanced guards moved through the crowd with mechanical precision. "We need to get to the 50th floor," Emily said. "Stop that broadcast. Through an army of enhanced soldiers?" Maya's tone was incredulous. "No." Emily's eyes locked onto a maintenance door. "We're going up the hard way. Nathan, can you access the building's maintenance systems?" He grinned, already typing. "The real question is, how do you feel about climbing?" The maintenance shaft was a vertical maze of pipes, cables, and narrow service platforms. Emily led the way, her evening gown now torn for better mobility, while Maya covered their rear. Nathan worked from his tablet as they climbed, trying to slow down their pursuers through the building's systems. 12 minutes until broadcast," Nathan reported, his breath heavy from the climb. "But I've got more data about the signal. It's not just going to control the enhanced soldiers. It's designed to begin forced enhancement of anyone within range." "How large is the range?" Maya asked, checking below for pursuit. "Initial broadcast, all of Chicago. But once it starts..." Nathan's face was grim in the emergency lighting. "The enhanced subjects will act as relay points. The signal will spread exponentially." Emily reached a service platform, helping the others up. "They're creating a hive mind, Blackwood at the center, controlling everyone they enhance." A mechanical screech echoed up the shaft. Below them, enhanced soldiers were entering the maintenance areas. "Nathan, options!" His fingers flew across the tablet. "I can seal some of the access points, but these guys are strong enough to tear through metal. Best I can do is slow them down." "Wait!" Maya pointed upward. "What's that noise?" A high-pitched whine was growing louder, coming from above. Emily's eyes widened. "The elevator shaft. They're sending people down from the top." "Trapped between two forces," Nathan muttered. "Classic pincer movement." Emily surveyed their position. They were on the 35th floor, still 15 floors from their goal. The maintenance shaft ran parallel to the elevator shaft, separated by a concrete wall with occasional access panels. "Nathan, can you access the elevator controls?" "Already on it, but Emily, whatever you're thinking, just be ready." She turned to Maya. "How's your climbing?" The detective managed a grim smile. "Former rock climbing instructor, actually. Full of surprises, aren't I?" Emily nodded in approval. "Good, because we're about to do something very stupid." She removed a small device from her thigh holster, what looked like a compact grappling gun. "Nathan, on my mark, I need you to stop all elevators and cut their emergency brakes." "That's insane," he protested. "The counterweights alone will give us exactly what we need." Emily attached a safety line to Maya's dress, then Nathan's belt. "When I say now, both of you grab onto me." The sounds of pursuit were getting closer, metallic impacts from below, mechanical whirring from above. They were running out of time. "Now, Nathan!" He activated the commands. The building's electrical system surged as multiple elevators simultaneously lost power and braking. Emily shot the grappling line through an access panel, the magnetic head attaching to one of the rising counterweights. "Hold on!" The line went taut, and they were yanked through the access panel into the elevator shaft. The counterweights' momentum carried them upward at terrifying speed, wind whipping past them as they ascended through the darkness. "Multiple bogies above and below," Nathan shouted over the wind. "They're adapting to our movement pattern." Enhanced soldiers were indeed leaping between elevator cables with inhuman agility, pursuing them up the shaft. One nearly caught Maya's leg, but she kicked free, sending the cybernetic warrior plummeting downward. 8 minutes to broadcast, Nathan reported. "We're approaching the 45th floor." "Time for phase 2. Emily pulled another device from her gear, a small but powerful explosive charge. As they passed the 47th floor, she attached it to the shaft wall. "Nathan, reverse all elevator motors on my mark." The enhanced soldiers were closing in, moving with perfect coordination. and grabbed their cable, starting to climb down toward them. "Now!" Nathan triggered the commands. Every elevator motor in the building reversed simultaneously, causing chaos in the shaft. Emily detonated the charge, creating a hole into yet another maintenance area. As the cable went slack, she swung them through the opening. They landed hard on a service platform, Maya immediately taking up a defensive position while Nathan checked his tablet. "That won't hold them long," Emily said, reloading her weapons. "Nathan, where are we?" 48th floor maintenance level. "The broadcast array is 2 floors up, but..." He paused, looking at his screen. "Emily, I'm detecting massive power fluctuations. They're starting the broadcast sequence early." "How long?" 4 minutes, maybe less, but that's not the worst part." He showed them his tablet. "Look at these readings. The power requirements are off the charts. When this thing goes live, it'll overload," Emily finished. "Take out half the city's power grid. Creating chaos right when their enhanced army activates," Maya added. "Perfect conditions for a takeover." A crash echoed through the maintenance shaft, enhanced soldiers breaking through barriers below. Above, more mechanical sounds approached. "We've got company coming from both directions," Maya reported. "Please tell me Protocol Omega is ready." Emily checked her phone. Multiple text confirmations had arrived. Frank came through. "Teams are in position." "Want to tell us what exactly Protocol Omega is?" Nathan asked, still working to slow down their pursuers through the building systems. "A last resort." Emily's voice was grim. "I called in some old favors, CIA wetwork teams, former special forces, some private contractors who owe me. They've surrounded the building with heavy weapons and anti-personnel equipment. Against enhanced soldiers." Maya's tone was skeptical. "They're the distraction. While they engage Blackwood's forces, a second team will infiltrate through the underground parking levels. Former CIA demolitions experts." Nathan looked up from his tablet. "You're going to bring down the building." Emily nodded. "Targeted. Charges on key structural points. If we can't stop the broadcast, we contain it. The whole tower comes down before the signal can spread." "With us inside?" Maya asked. "Hopefully not, but if necessary." Their discussion was cut short, as enhanced soldiers burst through barriers both above and below their position. Emily engaged the closest one, her combat training barely matching its augmented abilities. Maya's gun barked repeatedly, but the bullets barely slowed their cybernetic attackers. Nathan's fingers flew across his tablet. "The building systems are registering new intrusions. Your teams are moving in." 2 minutes to broadcast," Emily shouted, narrowly avoiding a crushingly powerful blow. "We need to reach that array." Maya shot out a power junction, plunging their section of the shaft into darkness. In the chaos, Emily activated an ultraviolet strobe, a trick she'd prepared after seeing how Blackwood's enhanced vision worked. The cybernetic soldiers recoiled, their optical systems overwhelmed. "Move! Up the emergency ladder!" They climbed desperately, enhanced soldiers recovering and pursuing. The 49th floor passed, then finally the 50th. Nathan bypassed the security on an access door, and they burst into what looked like a massive technological nerve center. The broadcast array dominated the room, a massive construction of advanced electronics and experimental technology. Banks of servers lined the walls, and in the center, a chair that looked disturbingly like the transformation chambers they'd seen below. Blackwood's control station, Emily realized. This is where she'll interface with the network. 1 minute to broadcast, Nathan reported, running to a control panel. "I can try to shut it down, but these systems are quantum encrypted. It could take hours to..." "Step away from the console." Victoria Blackwood's voice carried artificial harmonics as she emerged from a hidden elevator. Her cybernetic enhancements were now fully visible, chrome and carbon fiber gleaming under her torn evening wear. "I have to admit, your ascent was impressive, but ultimately futile." More enhanced soldiers filed into the room, surrounding them. Through the windows, Emily could see lights going out across Chicago as power was diverted to the array. "It's over," Blackwood continued, moving toward the control chair. "The signal cannot be stopped. Evolution cannot be denied. But I'm still willing to offer you a choice. Join us voluntarily or be forced into the next stage of human development." 30 seconds to broadcast. The massive array hummed with building power, making the floor vibrate beneath their feet. Through the windows, Chicago's skyline was going dark, sector by sector, as the system drew more energy. "You still don't understand what you're fighting against." Blackwood moved toward the control chair, her cybernetic enhancements gleaming. "This isn't about control, it's about transcendence, humanity's next evolutionary step." "Funny," Emily responded, subtly shifting her stance. "All I see is another power-hungry tyrant with delusions of godhood." Blackwood's artificial laugh echoed through the room. "Still thinking in such limited terms. When the signal activates, when millions of minds join the network, we'll become something entirely new. A collective consciousness, guided by superior beings." "Superior?" Maya's voice dripped contempt. "You're not superior. You're a puppet, a tool. The real question is, who's really pulling your strings?" Something flickered across Blackwood's face, an expression almost too quick to catch. But Emily saw it. Doubt, fear. "Nathan," Emily subvocalized. "The power readings. Off the charts," he whispered back. "The system's already overloading. When it peaks..." "Tell me, Victoria." Emily spoke louder, taking a step forward. Enhanced soldiers tensed but didn't fire. "In Belgrade, before the explosion." "What really happened in that lab?" "You know what happened." Blackwood's voice carried a new edge. "You were there." "I saw the aftermath. But something changed you before the explosion. Someone changed you. Who was it, Victoria? Who turned you into their prototype?" The array's hum increased. 15 seconds to broadcast. "Enough!" Blackwood's movements were almost too fast to track as she reached the control chair. "The time for talking is over. The evolution begins. Now..." She sat in the chair, cybernetic interfaces extending to connect with her enhanced systems. The room's lights flickered as more power was diverted. "Emily," Nathan's urgent whisper, "the demolition team is in position. They're waiting for your signal." 10 seconds! Emily's mind raced through possibilities, calculations, angles of attack. The enhanced soldiers had them surrounded, but their focus was split between guarding the prisoners and protecting Blackwood. "Detective," Emily said quietly. "Remember the train?" Maya's slight nod was nearly imperceptible. She understood. 5 seconds. Blackwood's eyes began glowing with artificial light as she merged with the system. "Can you feel it? The power, the potential?" "Actually," Emily smiled, "I feel something else." She reached for her necklace. "Remember this?" Blackwood's eyes widened as she recognized the EMP device. "Shoot them!" But Emily was already moving. The EMP wasn't meant for Blackwood this time. It was aimed at the nearest power junction. The localized pulse caused a cascade of sparks, momentarily disrupting the room's systems. In that split second of darkness, everything happened at once. Maya dropped and rolled, coming up firing at the enhanced soldiers' knee joints, their only vulnerable point. Nathan threw himself behind a server bank, fingers flying across his tablet to initiate prepared cyber attacks. Emily launched herself toward Blackwood, knowing she had seconds before the backup systems engaged. The enhanced soldiers' targeting systems were temporarily disrupted, their shots going wide. "Nathan, now!" He triggered a command sequence, and suddenly every screen in the room began flashing in a strobing pattern. A virus designed to overload enhanced optical systems. The cybernetic soldiers staggered, their augmented vision overwhelming their neural interfaces. Blackwood tried to disengage from the control chair, but she was too deeply connected. The system's disruption fed back through her neural links, causing her to convulse. "The array," Nathan shouted. "Power levels are critical." "Protocol Omega," Emily commanded into her communicator. "Phase 1 initiate." Explosions rocked the lower floors of Sterling Tower. The demolition teams were starting their work, strategically weakening the building's structure. But Blackwood wasn't finished. With inhuman effort, she ripped free from the control chair, trailing broken cables and sparking connections. "Kill them all!" The enhanced soldiers were recovering, their systems adapting to the strobing assault. Maya's position behind an overturned desk was being shredded by concentrated fire. "Emily." Nathan's voice was urgent. "The broadcast sequence, it's still running. Backup systems are taking over." Blackwood moved with terrifying speed, catching Emily with a cybernetic arm and throwing her across the room. "Did you think I wouldn't have contingencies? Fail-safes?" Emily rolled with the impact, coming up in a fighting stance. "Actually, I counted on it. Frank, execute Phase 2. New explosions lit up the night, not from below, but from surrounding buildings. Hidden special forces teams opened up with heavy weapons, targeting every window on the 50th floor with precision fire. Armored glass shattered inward as anti-material rounds punched through. The enhanced soldiers scattered for cover, their tactical programming prioritizing survival over attack. "Nathan," Emily shouted over the chaos. "The array," he typed frantically. "No good, the system's locked. Only Blackwood's neural signature can shut it down now." Blackwood laughed as she advanced on Emily, shrugging off bullets that would have stopped a tank. "This was your plan. Conventional weapons against enhanced soldiers? Even your demolition charges can't bring down the tower fast enough to stop the broadcast." "You're right." Emily shifted stance again, this time into a very specific position. "That's not the real plan." Maya and Nathan both recognized her stance. They immediately dove for the nearest exits. Blackwood's artificial eyes widened as she finally understood. "No." Emily smiled. "Did you really think I'd come up here without a fail-safe?" She opened her hand, revealing a dead man's switch she'd been holding since entering the room. "Emily, don't!" Blackwood's voice held real fear now. "The power levels. If you trigger an explosion now..." "When the array tries to broadcast," Emily finished, "the feedback will cascade through the entire power grid, a chain reaction that will level 3 city blocks. But the signal will never go out. You'll die too. Better than living as a slave." Emily's finger loosened on the switch. "This is for Belgrade." "Wait!" Blackwood's voice changed, became more human somehow. "The people who changed me. They're still out there, still working. If you do this, you'll never know the truth." Emily paused. "What truth?" "Belgrade wasn't an accident. It wasn't even about me. It was about you, Emily. You were supposed to be their first prototype. I was just the backup plan." The array's hum reached a fever pitch. 10 seconds to broadcast. "Nathan," Emily called out, "get Maya clear. Trigger Protocol Omega's final phase on my mark." "Emily, no!" Maya started forward, but Nathan held her back. "Victoria," Emily's voice was almost gentle, "thank you for telling me the truth, finally." Blackwood's enhanced systems registered the subtle muscle movement a split second before Emily's finger completely released the switch. "No!" The explosive charges Emily had hidden throughout the room during their conversation detonated simultaneously. The blast wave hit just as the array reached maximum power. The top of Sterling Tower erupted in a massive fireball, visible for miles across Chicago's darkened skyline. The signal never broadcast. Protocol Omega's demolition charges completed their work, bringing the tower down in a controlled collapse that minimized civilian casualties. Enhanced soldiers throughout the building were buried in the rubble. Hours later, as emergency crews worked through the debris, Maya and Nathan coordinated with Frank's teams to secure the perimeter. The official story would blame a catastrophic power failure and structural collapse. "Any sign of them?" Nathan asked quietly. Maya shook her head. "No bodies found yet. But that explosion, no one could have survived." Nathan wasn't so sure. "This is Emily we're talking about, and Blackwood. With those enhancements." "Detective Rodriguez," a rescue worker called out. "We found something." They rushed to the scene. In the rubble, they found Emily's quantum communicator still functioning. On its screen was a single message: "The truth is still out there. Don't stop looking." 2 weeks after the Sterling Tower incident, Detective Maya Rodriguez sat at her desk, staring at the quantum communicator Emily had left behind. The official investigation had concluded. Structural failure combined with experimental power systems had caused the catastrophic collapse. Case closed, but Maya knew better. Still hoping for another message? Nathan pulled up a chair, looking as exhausted as she felt. Dark circles under his eyes suggested he'd been working through the night again. "Look at this." Maya showed him the communicator's screen. The timestamp on Emily's message. It was sent 3 hours after the explosion. Could be a delayed send. Emily was always thorough with her contingency plans. Or she survived. Maya pulled up files on her computer. Rescue teams found 23 bodies in the rubble, all identified. No sign of Emily or Blackwood. Nathan leaned forward, lowering his voice. That's not all they didn't find. The central core of the broadcast array, completely missing. Someone removed it during the chaos. The precinct buzzed with normal activity around them, but Maya felt isolated in their bubble of conspiracy. The past 2 weeks had been a blur of debriefings, cover stories, and careful evidence manipulation. Franco Mali's Special Forces teams had disappeared as quickly as they'd arrived, leaving no trace of Protocol Omega. There's something else. Maya opened her drawer, removed a sealed evidence bag. Inside was a single bullet casing. Found. This in the debris. It's not from any weapon used during the operation. Nathan examined it. Custom round, military grade, but, his eyes widened. This is CIA Black Ops ammunition, the kind they used in Belgrade. Before Maya could respond, Officer Kevin Murphy approached her desk. "Detective, there's someone here to see you. Says it's about Sterling Tower." Maya and Nathan exchanged glances. "Send them in." The woman who walked into the precinct didn't draw attention. Middle-aged, professionally dressed, utterly forgettable. Except for her eyes. They held the same calculating intelligence Maya had seen in Emily. "Detective Rodriguez, Mr. Parker." The woman sat without being invited. "My name is Sarah Mitchell. I believe we have a mutual friend." "Had," Nathan corrected, his tone careful. "Unless you know something we don't." Sarah smiled. 3 days ago, a highly secure facility in Montana reported a breach. Their experimental medical equipment was accessed using Victoria Blackwood's neural signature. 12 hours later, a similar breach occurred at a military research lab in Colorado. Maya kept her expression neutral. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because I know what really happened in Belgrade." Sarah placed a small drive on Maya's desk. "And I know why Emily was chosen." Nathan's hand moved subtly toward his concealed tablet, ready to run countermeasure programs. "You were there?" "No, but I helped design the program that created Victoria Blackwood, the same program that was supposed to enhance Emily Chen." The precinct seemed to fade away as Sarah continued. "Belgrade wasn't just a mission gone wrong. It was a selection process. We needed to identify agents with specific genetic markers, candidates who could survive the enhancement process. Maya's voice was sharp, a group within the intelligence community, one that saw the potential of human enhancement long before Sterling and Blackwood tried to weaponize it. Sarah's eyes fixed on the quantum communicator. Emily's genetic profile was perfect. Her combat skills and psychological evaluation made her ideal, but she was too moral, too resistant to control. So you took Blackwood instead, Nathan concluded. Victoria was always the backup plan, more malleable, easier to influence, but the enhancements changed her in ways we didn't anticipate. She broke free of our control, started building her own agenda. Maya studied the drive. What's on this? Everything. The real Belgrade files, the enhancement program data, and, Sarah hesitated, the location of the facility where it all started, where Emily is going next. Why give us this? Nathan asked. Because Emily was right about one thing. The program went too far, created something dangerous. Victoria Blackwood isn't just enhanced anymore, she's evolving. Every time she interfaces with new technology, her capabilities grow. If she manages to rebuild the broadcast array, she'll try again, Maya finished. Create her enhanced army. Worse, Sarah stood. She'll transcend human limitation entirely, become something we can't control or contain. Emily understands this. She's tracking Blackwood, trying to end it. But she needs help. The bullet casing, Nathan realized. She left it for us to find. A message. Sarah nodded. A breadcrumb trail. Emily knows Blackwood's patterns, knows where she'll go. But stopping her will require resources, intelligence, people she can trust. Like us, Maya said. Exactly, like you. Sarah moved to leave, then paused. One more thing. The night of the explosion, a secure CIA server received a data burst. Biometric readings from the broadcast array's control chair. Victoria Blackwood's enhanced neural patterns were copied, backed up. She uploaded herself, Nathan breathed. Insurance in case something happened to her physical form. Which means the Victoria Blackwood who survived Sterling Tower isn't just enhanced. Sarah's voice was grim. She's something new, something that exists as both hardware and software. She can transfer her consciousness between enhanced bodies, move through secure networks like a ghost. How do we fight something like that? Maya asked. Ask Emily the next time she contacts you. Sarah walked away, disappearing into the precinct crowd as anonymously as she'd arrived. Maya and Nathan sat in silence for a moment, processing. Finally, Nathan picked up the drive. Should we? Not here. Maya gathered her things. O'Malley's, 1 hour, bring everything you have on Belgrade. As they prepared to leave, Maya's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. The game isn't over. Meet me in Belgrade, the place where it all began. Nathan looked over her shoulder at the message. Think it's really her? One way to find out. Maya pocketed the quantum communicator. How do you feel about a trip to Serbia? After what happened at Sterling Tower, Nathan managed a grim smile. Wouldn't miss it, but Maya, if Blackwood really can transfer her consciousness, inhabit any enhanced body, then anyone we meet could be her. Maya checked her weapon. I know, that's why we need to find Emily first, before Blackwood realizes we're coming. As they left the precinct, neither noticed the traffic camera across the street turning to track their movement. In its digital display, for just a moment, a pattern of code formed Victoria Blackwood's smile. Belgrade hadn't changed much in the years since the incident. The same grey Soviet-era buildings loomed over narrow streets, their facades still bearing scars from conflicts both recent and long past. Maya and Nathan moved through the evening crowd, both keenly aware of the surveillance cameras tracking their progress. Every camera we pass logs into a secure network, Nathan murmured, checking his tablet. "The whole city's wired, and something's watching through them. Blackwood? Maybe. The coding signature matches what we saw in Chicago, but it's different, more evolved. They'd arrived in Serbia 3 days ago, following Emily's cryptic message. Frank O'Malley's contacts had provided clean identities and local support, but they were essentially on their own." Maya's phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. "Corner of Dushanova and Kara Urosha. The cafe with blue umbrellas. Order the house special." "It's close," Nathan said, already mapping the route. "But Maya, every camera that's spotted us has transmitted data somewhere. If this is a trap..." "Everything's a trap these days." Maya checked her concealed weapon. "The question is, who set it?" The cafe was small, tucked between a bookstore and an electronics repair shop. An elderly waiter guided them to a table beneath one of the faded blue umbrellas. When they ordered the house special, his only response was to place a key on their table. "Storage facility." Nathan examined the tag. 2 blocks from here. "The old intelligence archives." A familiar voice made them both freeze. Sarah Mitchell sat at the next table, a newspaper hiding her face. "Where it all started." "You followed us?" Maya's hand moved toward her weapon. "No, I've been here since before you arrived." Sarah lowered the newspaper. "Emily isn't the only one hunting Blackwood. My organization has been tracking her digital signature across Europe. 3 days ago, she accessed a secure server in this facility." "What's on it?" Nathan asked. "The original enhancement program files. Everything we learned about genetic modification, neural interfaces, and consciousness transfer. In the wrong hands. It could create an army of enhanced soldiers," Maya finished. "No." Sarah's voice was grim. "It could create something much worse. The program wasn't just about enhancement, it was about transcendence, breaking the barriers between human consciousness and digital existence." Nathan's tablet beeped. "Multiple signals converging on our location. Whatever's in those archives, we're not the only ones after it." Sarah stood. "Use the key. Find Emily, and whatever you do, don't let Blackwood access those files." She melted into the crowd just as black SUVs began appearing at both ends of the street. "Time to go." Maya left payment on the table as they quickly moved toward the nearest alley. Behind them, enhanced soldiers in civilian clothes began moving through the cafe. The storage facility was a communist-era concrete bunker disguised as a telecommunications hub. The key card got them through the first door, but inside was a maze of corridors and security checkpoints. "The signal's stronger here," Nathan worked on his tablet as they moved. "Someone's accessing the mainframe. Wait." He stopped suddenly. "This code. It's not Blackwood. It's Emily." "You sure?" "Positive. It has her signature. The way she writes programs, it's like handwriting. She's already inside." They found her in a sub-basement server room surrounded by ancient computers and modern intrusion equipment. Emily Chen looked up from her work, appearing unchanged despite everything that had happened in Chicago. "You're late," she smiled, "but right on time." Maya moved to hug her friend, then stopped. "Prove you're really you." Emily nodded in approval. "Smart. The train incident in Chicago. You were watching me before I engaged the gang. You saw me help an old woman with her groceries 2 stops earlier." "It's her," Maya confirmed, finally, embracing Emily. "We thought you were dead." "I was for about 6 minutes." Emily returned to her work on the servers. "The explosion actually saved me. The electromagnetic pulse disrupted Blackwood's enhanced systems long enough for me to get clear. But she survived too." "We know," Nathan said. "She's evolved, become something new." "More than you know." Emily brought up files on her screen. "The enhancement program, the consciousness transfer research, It was never supposed to create super soldiers. That was just the cover story. Then what was it for? Immortality. Emily's voice was bitter. The real goal was to free human consciousness from physical limitation, allow the mind to exist as pure digital information, transferable between bodies or machines. Like Blackwood is doing now, Maya realized, except she's taken it further. She's not just transferring her consciousness, she's replicating it, creating copies of herself in every system she infects. Each copy evolves independently, learns, grows. Nathan checked his tablet. The signals we've been tracking, they're all her. Different versions of her. Some more human, some more machine, all working toward the same goal. Emily accessed another server, but they made a mistake. They left a back door. The original program files. A kill switch built into the basic code of the enhancement process. If I can access it, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Nathan's tablet displayed multiple warnings. We've got company. Enhanced signatures approaching from all directions. Not enhanced. Emily's hands flew across the keyboard. They're all Blackwood. Different versions, different bodies. But all her. She knows what I'm trying to do. The first attacks hit their digital defenses. Nathan fought back viruses and intrusion attempts while Emily raced to access the kill switch. Maya took up a defensive position at the door. Emily, Nathan's voice was urgent, these attack patterns, they're changing, adapting, learning from each attempt. She's evolving faster than we thought. Emily didn't look up from her work. The different versions are combining their knowledge, becoming something new. If they merge completely, she'll be unstoppable, Maya finished. How much longer? Almost there. The kill switch is buried in layers of code, but Emily smiled suddenly. Got it. The door burst open. Maya fired at the first enhanced soldier, but more were behind it. These weren't just enhanced humans. Their movements showed Blackwood's distinctive patterns, her consciousness controlling them like puppets. Too late. Victoria Blackwood's voice came from all of them simultaneously. I see you found the files, Emily, but did you really think I wouldn't have evolved beyond such simple safeguards? Actually, Emily's smile turned predatory. I was counting on it. She activated her program. But instead of attacking Blackwood's enhanced soldiers, it targeted the facility's ancient servers. Nathan, Maya, run! The servers began to overload, decades of magnetic storage becoming unstable. Blackwood's soldiers advanced, but their movements were becoming erratic. What did you do? Blackwood's voice held real fear. Introduced a quantum uncertainty variable into the base code. Every time your copies try to merge, try to evolve. They collapse into random data. You'll destroy everything, all the research. That's the idea. Emily triggered the final sequence. Time to end this. For real this time. The servers exploded in cascading waves of destructive energy, taking the entire facility's power grid with them. In the darkness, enhanced soldiers collapsed like puppets with cut strings. Maya helped Emily up as emergency lights flickered on. Is it over? The copies in this facility are gone. Emily retrieved a small drive from her equipment. But Blackwood's consciousness has spread too far. There are other copies out there, evolving, waiting. Then we'll find them, Nathan said. Together. Emily nodded. But first we need to understand what we're really fighting. This isn't just about Blackwood anymore. The people behind the original program, the ones who wanted digital immortality. They're still out there, still working. Sarah Mitchell, Maya asked. Part of it. But there's something bigger. Something that connects Chicago, Belgrade, and a dozen other places. Emily held up the drive. And all the answers lead to one place. Where? A facility in the mountains of Switzerland. the place where the enhancement program was born. Emily's eyes held a dangerous gleam. Want to help me shut it down? The Swiss Alps loomed against a steel-grey sky as Emily, Maya, and Nathan approached the facility hidden within Mount Pilatus. Satellite surveillance had confirmed unusual power readings, but the mountain's natural formation made detailed scans. Impossible. Security perimeter starts in 50 meters, Nathan reported, checking his equipment. Quantum encryption on everything. Makes Sterling Tower look primitive, because this is where it all started. Emily adjusted her climbing gear. The first enhancement trials, the consciousness transfer experiments. Everything leads back. Here, they'd spent 2 weeks tracking Blackwood's digital traces across Europe. Each corrupted system, each enhanced soldier they encountered, revealed more pieces of the puzzle. Now, they were finally ready to end it. Remember, Emily continued, Blackwood's remaining copies will be watching. The moment we breach their security, they'll know we're here. Maya checked her modified weapons, special rounds designed to disrupt enhanced neural patterns. Let them come. The facility's entrance was disguised as an old mining shaft, but the security systems were state-of-the-art. Nathan's custom programs dealt with the outer layer of defenses, while Emily handled the physical locks. Inside, sterile white corridors stretched deep into the mountain. The air hummed with power from hidden generators. Getting multiple signals, Nathan whispered. Enhanced signatures, but they're different. More stable than Blackwood's copies. Because they're not copies. Emily's voice was tight. They're the originals, the first successful enhancement trials. They moved deeper, encountering no resistance. The facility seemed deserted, but surveillance cameras tracked their every move. Welcome home, Emily. Sarah Mitchell's voice echoed through hidden speakers. We've been waiting for you. Doors opened ahead of them, revealing a massive chamber carved from the mountain's heart. Banks of servers lined the walls, their processing power dedicated to a single purpose, breaking the barriers between human and machine consciousness. Sarah stood on an observation platform, surrounded by figures Emily recognized from classified files. The true architects of the enhancement program. Did you really think Victoria Blackwood was acting alone? Sarah smiled. She was just a field test, proof that consciousness could exist beyond physical limitation. But you, Emily, you were always meant to be the next step. The train incident in Chicago, Emily realized. The gang members, the staged confrontation. You manipulated everything. We needed to confirm your capabilities, your potential. Sarah gestured to the machinery around them. Blackwood's digital copies are unstable, fragmenting. But your genetic profile, your neural patterns, you could achieve true transcendence. That's what this was all about? Maya's disgust was evident. Creating digital gods. Creating the future. A new voice joined them. Victoria Blackwood emerged from shadows, but this wasn't a copy. This was the original. Her enhanced form more evolved than ever. Humanity is limited by flesh, by mortality. We offer liberation. You offer slavery, Emily countered. Control through technology, through neural networks. Still thinking so small. Blackwood moved with liquid grace. The copies were never meant to survive. They were tests, learning experiences. Each failure taught us more about digital evolution. And now we're ready for full implementation, Sarah finished. A controlled enhancement of key individuals, world leaders, military commanders, corporate executives, all linked through our network, all guided by transcendent consciousness. Nathan's tablet suddenly flashed warnings. Emily, they're activating something. Power levels are off the charts. The final phase. Blackwood smiled. Did you think we'd wait for your approval? The signal is already broadcasting, subtle, undetectable, preparing selected hosts worldwide for enhancement. Emily met Maya's eyes, a silent message passing between them. They'd prepared for this. "Funny thing about signals," Emily said. "They can be traced, redirected, modified." Sarah's smile faltered. "What did you do?" "You're not the only ones who can manipulate events." Emily held up a small device. "Remember the quantum uncertainty variable I used in Belgrade? The one that collapsed Blackwood's copies? You couldn't. Blackwood started forward, but stopped as her enhanced systems flickered. What's happening?" "Nathan," Emily called out, "uploading now, targeting all enhanced neural patterns with the modified code." Blackwood staggered as her enhancements began to fail. Around them, other enhanced individuals showed similar signs of system collapse. "You'll destroy everything." Sarah moved to stop them, but Maya was faster, her modified weapon keeping the woman covered. "No," Emily corrected. "We're freeing everything. The uncertainty variable doesn't just collapse digital consciousness. It breaks the neural links, ends the control." "You don't understand what you're destroying," Blackwood gasped. "The potential, I understand perfectly." Emily activated the final sequence. Some barriers aren't meant to be broken. Some power isn't meant to be held. The facility's systems began to overload as the modified code spread through their network. Enhanced soldiers collapsed worldwide. As their neural links dissolved, the dream of digital transcendence collapsed into quantum uncertainty. "Emily," Nathan's voice was urgent, "the mountain, the power cascade is destabilizing the entire structure. Time to go." Emily turned to Sarah and the others. "I'd run if I were you. The authorities will have questions about this place." As they escaped the collapsing facility, Emily glanced back once. Victoria Blackwood stood in the entrance, her enhanced systems failing, but her human eyes clear for the first time in years. "Was it worth it?" Emily asked. "All of this?" "We'll try again," Blackwood promised. "The future is inevitable." "Maybe." Emily armed the final charges, but the future should be chosen, not forced. The charges detonated, sealing the facility forever beneath tons of mountain rock. As emergency vehicles approached in the distance, Maya turned to Emily. "Think it's really over? The enhancement program?" "Yes." Emily watched as helicopters approached, but the desire for power, for control, that never ends. "So what now?" Emily smiled, thinking of the train where it all started. "Now we keep watching, keep fighting. There are always people who need protection and others who need to be stopped." "Count me in," Maya said. "Me too," Nathan added. "Someone has to handle the tech side." Emily nodded, grateful for her team. The world might never know how close it came to being transformed, but they would be ready if anyone tried again. The future wasn't written in code or neural patterns. It was written in choices, in actions, in the simple courage to stand against those who would control others. And they would be there to make sure those choices remained free. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This might be the end of this story, but the adventure never truly ends. Want more incredible tales of justice and courage? Check out these amazing stories next. Click now to continue your journey into these thrilling tales. Remember to hit that notification bell to never miss an upload. Thank you for being part of this amazing adventure.